Hello friends, myself Dr. Trilochan Singh, a practicing psychologist and behavior therapist from Ludhiana. Today we will discuss about the behavior theory and its implication to manage various psychological and emotional problems. So as we all know, there are so many learning theories. Out of that there are behavior theories. Out of all behavior theory, two theories are very popularly used in psychotherapeutic intervention and counseling interventions. These theories are first theory is classical conditioning and other theories are operant conditioning. First we will discuss about the classical conditioning. As I already told you, this is the theory of learning. Many people give many theory about the learning, but this theory given by Ivan Pavlov, who received Nobel Prize to examine the physiological and other biological functions related to learning. So in this theory, Pavlov said that there are two types of stimulus. One is unconditional stimulus and another is conditional stimulus. Whenever we present an unconditional stimulus, there will be an unconditional response. For example, I would say कि अगर आपको कोई डर वाली चीज़ दिखाई देती है, फॉर एग्जाम्पल सांप आपको दिखाई दे तो आप एकदम से डर जाओगे. सो देयर विल बी नो कंडीशन टू गेट अफ्रेड. दैट अगर सांप इतना बड़ा होगा तो डरेंगे, सांप का रंग काला होगा तो डरेंगे. देयर इज़ नो कंडीशन. ऐसी बहुत सारी चीज़ें ऐसी होती हैं जिसमें कोई कंडीशन नहीं होती रिस्पांस को एलिसिट करने के लिए, रिस्पांस को पैदा करने के लिए. तो इसको हम अनकंडीशनल स्टिमुलस कहते हैं. तो कुछ चीज़ें ऐसी होती हैं जिसका कोई न्यूट्रली अगर उसको प्रेजेंट किया जाए, उसको दिखाया जाए, जब वो सामने आ जाए, उसका कोई भी रिस्पांस नहीं आता. दैट इज़ कॉल्ड कंडीशनल स्टिमुलस. बट वो किसी ना किसी के साथ, किसी कंडीशन के साथ, किसी स्पेसिफिक कंडीशन के साथ ही रिस्पांस देता है, तो इसीलिए उसको कंडीशन रिस्पांस कहा जाता है. फॉर एग्ज़ाम्पल, कोई भी अनकंडीशनल स्टिमुलस से पहले अगर कोई कंडीशनल स्टिमुलस आ जाए तो भी रिस्पांस आ सकता है. इन हिज थ्योरी पावलोव टुक ए डॉग दैट इज़ हंग्री डॉग. उसको एक केज में बंद किया गया है एंड ही स्टार्टेड शोइंग अ फूड. आफ्टर सीइंग ए फूड द डॉग स्टार्टेड सेलिवेटिंग. So it's a natural response that is unconditional, that a hungry dog, whenever he will see food, he will salivate. But after showing food for a few minutes or few trials, Pavlov first rang a bell, then presented food, and surprisingly dog again started salivating. So it has been happened for a few trials, like then he rang a bell, again showed a food, plate of food, then dog started salivating. Similarly, again rang a bell, again presented a food, then dog started salivating. But after that this continuous pairing of bell and food, later on in testing phase, Pavlov only rang a bell but dog started salivating. So this was surprisingly that dog associated bell with the food, that he started perceiving bell, that the food will automatically come after this. So this is the theory that how two stimulus get associated with each other and give same response. That was unconditional earlier, but now the conditional stimulus, after getting paired with the unconditional stimulus, started giving same response. So in our daily life we see so many things that actual stimulus were not present now, but students or people are giving responses. So this theory is a classical conditioning. We often say that now we got conditioned to give the particular response after repeated pairing of unconditional and conditional stimulus. So now how it is implicable in our daily life and to solve the various emotional and psychological or other behavioral difficulties. So we'll have an example. For example, we see example of fear. Suppose a person came with you with the complaint of fear of dark. He is very afraid of dark because he is very afraid of some particular things, but there is no specific logical reasons behind it. there is normal, many people normally go there, but they are not afraid, but a single person is afraid, so much afraid that he got panic in some darkness. So when we try to explore this case while taking case history, we will look into this कि there is some negative experience with him happened in past that is related or associated with dark. So though that dangerous or painful or stressful events or situation has already gone, but dark is still there. So client's mind associated these two things together, and now in future only one thing is present, but client is giving same response that was given earlier when they presented together. So in our day-to-day life, we learn so many things with the help of this principle that is called classical conditioning. In our training, we use this principle. When we train animals, for example dog, we train dogs through the classical conditioning, and we trained children, we trained many other employees with this particular principle of classical conditioning. It is whenever there are some emotional problems or psychological problem, we try to explain this and we try to explore the etiology of this. Etiology means what is the reason behind it and why this problem became so severe and why this problem developed actually. So whenever we try to explore the different reasons of any psychological and emotional or behavioral problem, we often say that there are so many theories that explain the reasons behind any particular problem. So out of that, behavior theory explain about this psychological and emotional problem that there were some conditioning in the past, that's why this problem developed. फॉर एग्ज़ाम्पल मैं बता रहा था किसी को डर की बीमारी, फोबिया की बीमारी लग जाए, तो बिहेवियर थ्योरी के अकॉर्डिंगली सो वी ऑफन फील कि देयर वर सम एसोसिएशन विद डेंजर एंड सम नेगेटिव थिंग्स विद न्यूट्रल थिंग्स. नाउ द डेंजरस थिंग्स हैव बीन गॉन, बट the neutral things are present, but because of the association and because of the past peering, person is still behaving in the same way. That is called conditioning. कि अभी उसकी conditioning हो चुकी है, इसी की वजह से वो same respond कर रहा है जो कि असली कारण हमेशा के लिए जा चुके हैं, but still he is behaving in the same manner. So this is called conditioning. So now we will come to another theory of learning, another behavior theory, that is called operant conditioning. Operant conditioning is given by B.F. Skinner and Watson. Watson and Skinner are very famous behaviorists. So they gave a theory of operant conditioning. They once Skinner said that whatever the response will occur in future, it depends on its consequences. If the consequences are pleasant, it will occur again. If the consequences are not pleasant or negative or not rewarding, then this behavior, this incident or this reaction will not occur in future. So this is the behavior theory. So according to this, whenever something happened, after the happening there will be a consequences. The consequences will determine whether this is going to happen again or this is the last time this is happening. If there are positive consequences, then definitely it will occur again. And if there are negative consequences, it will not happen again. So the concept of reward and punishment was developed from this theory only. Ki whenever there is a good deed or acceptable deeds, we give a reward, or whenever there are negative things or something not acceptable, we give punishment to stop it from occurring again and again. So it was given by Watson and Skinner. I told you that they worked on many animals like pigeons and rats and cats. Once in the experiment with cat, that they put the cat in some cage and close the door, and there were some levers or one lever in the box that can open the door of the cage. But the cat was put inside. A cat is not aware of the lever. Then cat started roaming and here and there, and suddenly cat pushed the lever and door was opened. After opening the door of the cage, cat immediately served with some food, and this food worked as a reinforcer. So this reinforcer again helped cat to learn some particular behavior, that is pushing the lever and coming out of the cage. So similarly, there are some reinforcer. We call it positive reinforcer and negative reinforcer. Whenever we want something that can be happened, that we need to happen again and again and again, we give some positive reward or positive reinforcement to make it sure that it will happen again. In case we does not want anything that can happened already, but we do not want it happen again in future, we negatively reinforce that behavior or action. This is the theory of operant conditioning or behavior theory of learning, that explained how behavior developed and how behavior was changed. So there are some principle of both the theory. We will discuss both the behavioristic principle now together and its implication to handle, to manage behavior problem and emotional problem of children, students and people around us. So as I told you, there are some conditioned phenomena involved in every learning. Whenever person learn, they are learning through some of this behavior concepts. For example, there must be a classical conditioning or there must be a operant conditioning. In case someone paired two stimulus together, that is unconditional and conditional stimulus, then while solving the problem, first of all we will try to explore this. As we discussed case history in detail, we will take a case and we will record everything. We will do interview with the client or with the student. We will get all the information, we will gather all the facts and the detail. After getting all the information, gathering the facts and various incidents in the past, we will be able to find out what is the unconditional stimulus and what is the conditional stimulus that is giving undesirable responses in spite of having what is the conditional stimulus and what is the unconditional stimulus, in spite of there is no specific and genuine reasons why a client or a student or a person is behaving in faulty manners. So when we get to know about the stimuluses, for example unconditional and conditional stimulus, we will now try to break this association with the principle of behaviorism only. What are the principle to break this? That is, when there were regular absenteeism of some unconditional stimulus, that the pairing will getting loosened. Slowly and slowly that pairing will vanish, that has been done earlier. So after getting to know about all the stimulus, we will break its association and we will get results that problems will be vanished, because we now unpaired both the stimulus. So similarly, in other operant conditioning principle, for example reinforcement, I told you about the reinforcement. So in its implication, whenever the student or any person come to us with some problems, again we will formulate the case as per the interview, as per the information gathering techniques. We will gather all the information, and as per the theory discussed, we will try to find out various behavior, faulty behavior and the reinforcement. What are the things that is reinforcing the faulty behavior, and what are the reasons and what are the things and incident or reaction that are strengthening this behavior. After the formulating the case formulation, we will get to know about the exact behavior that are contributing and that are strengthening this and that are helping, or similarly all other things that are that will be helpful in managing this behavior. So in case I will take an example. I will take one example that there is a child who was brought by his parents with the complaints of anger and breaking things. But while taking history, it has been explored that whenever child did such activity, he was praised. He was given compliment by grandfather or mother or any other member of the family. So this compliments and this reaction by the family member are acting as a reinforcer. So child somehow getting this idea that my behavior is desirable, so I am getting this compliment that is working reinforcer, and this behavior is getting strengthened. As I told you, Skinner's quote, that it will again happen in future because it is reinforced with some positive compliments, with some positive outcomes. So the consequences will definitely determine its occurrence in future. So similarly, in case we suggest parents or we instruct parents and family member not to give compliment, in spite of giving positive compliment or reward, the behavior should be negatively reinforcement, then this behavior will not occur in future. This is how we manage behavioral and emotional and other psychological problem in children and students and in other persons around us. So negative reinforcement is just like a punishment, or it is not particularly punishment. It may be taking away some facility, taking away some leisure activities, or giving some hard task to them. This all will work as a negative reinforcement for the child, and after negatively reinforce, that activity is less likely to occur in future. So there are so many other principles in behavior theory. For example, token economy. Token economy is given in behavior theory कि whatever we are getting something desirable, we will give some token in the form of reward or some number or some point. It may be a number, it may be points, it may be some object or some toy, whatever, and we ask the client or the student or the child to collect as much as point he can. Like at the end of the assignment, he will be ready with some particular point that was told in the beginning, and we must tell कि whatever he will collect the points and what will be the benefit of collecting these points or these tokens or these things. After the particular number of points, we will promise him or we will give him some reward in the form of some facility or some toy or some present, whatever he needs. So we will be able to train the child to behave accordingly, whatever is desirable. After presenting or after exhibiting the desirable behavior, he will get something out of it, and with the motive of getting something of his choice, he will definitely behave according to the norms and according to the rules and regulation. So this is token economy. So similarly, there is another technique of behavior theory that we call a systematic desensitization, mostly used to eliminate the phobia and the anxiety from particular things. For example, a person is very fearful or feeling very anxiety from some particular situation, we will then again expose the person to this dangerous situation to get rid of his fear. As I told, the name systematic desensitization, as its name suggests, it will be in systematic order and it's desensitizing. Desensitizing means कि person is getting desensitive of that fearful object or problematic object. We will expose it in a systematic order. For example, gradually we will first take a minimum dangerous object, then we will increase the danger progressively to the higher levels and keep on exposing the person, and at the end we may use some other phenomena to relax his, to overcome his anxiety, to manage his anxiety, for example relaxation technique or others positive suggestion, or maybe some other distraction technique. So patient keep on going into a deeper dangerous level, and he is getting control on his feelings and his emotional reaction to some fearful situation. So similarly, there is another technique just like a systematic desensitization, but in systematic desensitization we gradually increase the fear and gradually increase the intensity of fearful object. But there is another opposite technique that is called flooding. In flooding, we expose the client to the maximum dangerous or maximum fearful situation in the beginning only, and whenever patient or client or children is into the fearful situation, his anxiety level shoot up to the maximum level, but it decrease by the time slowly because of the process of habituation. Client or children get habituate of his anxiety or of dangerous or fearful situation because of the exposure, and after some time he will be feeling normal in fearful situation also. So another principle of behaviorism is shaping. Shaping is also very important to deal with the children and the student and its intellectual problem and learning issues. Shaping, just as name suggests, we shape the behavior of the children to get direction and to reach to some specific desired goal. That is, initially, for example, we want to teach something to the child. For example, in the beginning, child is learning to speak, but as per the age, speech was not developed, and the speech therapist or the counselor or teacher try to develop a speech. Then a child is saying single word, for example hanji, he is trying to say hello, and when child try to say hello and he just can speak only hai, so we will give some reinforcement in order to shape this hai towards hello, and we will give reinforcement immediately. So after getting the reinforcement, child was encouraged and give encouragement to repeat it with more efforts so he can achieve the desirable goals and desirable task. So in behavior theory, reinforcement and rewards play a very important role to achieve all the desirous goal. So behavior theory and behavioristic theory has wide application and implication. It is used to deal and cope up and treat mental illness issue, psychological issue and behavioral issue of the children of any age group. But along with this is the theory that can be used to train the mentally challenged or intellectually disabled children also, because children are not having sufficient IQ who are disabled intellectually, they face difficulty in learning, but with the help of behavioristic principle, we train the intellectually impaired children to achieve desirable development stages, so they can be independent, they can learn things that will help to survive with intellectual disabilities. So as I told you, reinforcement is very important. It is the basic principle of behaviorism, that how and when, in and what quantity we give reinforcement. The behaviorist theorist also gave some schedules of reinforcement, when to give reinforcement and why to give reinforcement, and in what manners, in what quantity, at what period and what time interval reinforcement should be given. There are many schedules like continuous reinforcement and interval, periodic. So there are so many schedules. Whenever we give reinforcement at right time, then we will get desirable results. For example, there are some generalizations, like one, we are giving reinforcement to achieve some goal and to make children to learn specific activity, and later this can be generalized to another situation into the different setting. Similarly, sometime children or student learn faulty things that are more likely to generalize in different condition. So then we need to differentiate this generalization, so people do not continue with this faulty learning. That depends on the reinforcement schedules only. Whenever we want to stop some behavior, we need to change the reinforcement schedule, and we need to change the nature of the reinforcement. That whatever behavior or action we want to stop, then we will give a negative reinforcement. Or a negative reinforce can be of many types. For example, punishment, earlier punishment was used, but now there are so many types of negative reinforce. For example, taking away some facility, taking away mobile, not allowing to watch TV. These all action and activity work as a negative reinforcement that will stop some undesirable behavior to occur in future. So this is all about the behavior theory and its applications, how we can use the behavioral principle to train the children from early level, children with normal intellectual functioning, as well as the children with intellectual disabilities and intellectual low intellectual functioning. And we can implement this theory in educational setting, clinical setting, or family level. We, as a parents, we can train our child to behave or to act in desirable manner. Along with this conditioning theory, there are some other theory of behaviors also. For example, imitation, observation, role modeling, that all suggest the learning through imitating the parents and making some role model and copying them in certain manners. But the important things is to know about the condition, unconditional stimulus, and the reinforcement that is contributing to the children particular behavior, so we can modify the behavior in desirable manners by identifying the various reinforcement and negative reinforcements. So this is all about the behavior theory. So thank you so much.